People, on the night of February 18, 2025, a chilling event took place in a small community in Abia State, Nigeria. What seems like a regular night quickly turned into one of the most tragic and shocking incidents the villagers had ever encountered. This story happened in Umokobo, a community of Umahia North local government area. It all started late in the night, around 3 a.m., when a neighbor, Mr. Azuka Obani, noticed something unusual happening in the family compound. He saw one Ibekwe Augustine James dragging something on the floor. What he was dragging looked heavy, and Mr. Azuka thought Ibekwe was dragging an animal he had trapped. But as he got closer, it became clear that what Ibekwe was dragging was not an animal, but the lifeless body of his own sister, a 30-year-old Chinonso. Mr. Obani, confused and alarmed, asked Ibekwe what had happened. At first, Mr. Obani was scared and he asked if Ibekwe had killed his mother, but Ibekwe's reply was chilling, to say the least. He claimed that the reason he killed his sister was because she had planted a snake inside his stomach. He believed that the snake was eating up all the food he was consuming, leaving him very hungry. It's hard to imagine, but in his mind, he thought the only way to stop this was to kill his sister. At first, this story sounded completely crazy. How could anyone believe such a thing? But the reality is that Ibekwe was suffering from mental disorder. This wasn't a deliberate, rational act of violence. Instead, it was a desperate act of a man who had lost touch with reality. What he saw as an urgent need to stop the snake was nothing more than a distorted perception caused by his own mental condition. Now, after Mr. Obani raised an alarm, Ibekwe fled the scene. As the community became aware of the tragic event, neighbors began searching for the missing twin children. The search quickly became even more heartbreaking. The twins, Moses and Marvelous, were nowhere to be found. So where could they be? What had happened to them? The community began to search all over for Chinonso's twin children. And hours later, a horrifying discovery was also made. The bodies of these two children were found buried in shallow graves. The twins had been unalive and their body dismembered and hastily buried. It became clear that Ibekwe had gone a great length to cover his track. He had cleaned up the blood and attempted to hide all signs of the crime. When the police were alerted, they sprang into action immediately. They came to the scene and took the bodies of the victim to the mortuary for an autopsy and intensified the search for Ibekwe. However, finding him was not an easy task. The police worked tirelessly, but the suspect was nowhere to be found. His whereabouts remained a mystery for a while. As the investigation continued, one big question emerged: what could have been done to prevent this tragedy in the first place? The reality is that mental health care in some part of Nigeria is still a very big issue. Many families don't even know where to turn to when loved ones are suffering from mental instability, and sadly, this lack of support can lead to tragic consequences. After the murder, Ibekwe fled the area and made his way to a neighboring state, Imo. This escape didn't last long. It wasn't until he was caught in a minor incident that he was eventually tracked down. Now, we learned that Ibekwe was apprehended after attempting to leave a shop without paying for the items he bought. His strange and incoherent behavior caught the attention of the locals in Imo State, and that is when his family were contacted. The people in Imo knew about the horrific crime he had committed back home. The community in Umokoro was left in shock. Neighbors expressed their disbelief, and many said that they never saw this coming. They were horrified that someone who lived so close to them could commit such an act. The fear of what might happen next haunted the residents and the villagers, and many of them voiced concern about the safety of themselves and others. They begged the government and the police to ensure that this never happened again. Now, let's talk about what needs to happen moving forward. This tragic case is a stark reminder of the importance of addressing mental health issues. While there is no doubt that Ibekwe's action was influenced by his mental instability, this situation could have been avoided if proper treatment had been sought earlier. Mental health care needs more attention, especially in rural areas where resources are limited. The police had also advised families to take their sick or mentally unstable family members to the hospital for proper treatment, because it's not just about protecting the community, it's about ensuring that individuals suffering from mental health conditions get the help that they need before they harm themselves himself or others. While Ibekwe's mental health crisis led to the death of his family members, it's important to understand that his actions also have consequences for him. He needs help, and it's crucial that he receive the treatment he requires. However, that doesn't erase the pain and the suffering his family had endured. The loss of Chinonso and her children is an unbearable tragedy, one that will be felt in the community for years to come. So there you have it, guys. This is a heartbreaking event, and I hate to tell these kind of stories, but guys, it's true. It happened, and we should be very, very careful about the people we mingle with. We should be careful about people who are mentally unstable. Don't take anything for granted, because you never can tell how it will end up. Nobody suspected. Nobody knew that this is what is going to happen. But at the end of the day, look at it. He killed his sister and the two children, twin children for that matter, and he fled. Though he was arrested in Imo, but his family members are gone, right? They are gone. They aren't going to come back again.